Good afternoon. Hope you guys are great. Glad to be here again. Obviously, another opportunity for the Gamecocks to come home here in Williams-Brice and take on obviously one of the top football teams in the country. We're excited for it. Another sellout. So our guys are been going through the process of readiness and making sure that we are ready to rock and roll. Last week was a bye week or a bye couple of days, as you want to call it. Depends on your process, but obviously our guys stay here and got some work in and had a couple of days off, ready to rock and roll.
Clayton, you hear about Ole Miss and you think tempo. They like to run quick, get the ball out quick. Just how much of a switch has that been from what you guys try to normally do to try to catch up with this offense?
Yes, obviously that system has been very productive over the years, and we do our best to try to mimic it during practice and make sure our guys understand communication and getting lined up and lining up fast and eyes to the sideline and getting calls in. And it's very, very important every single week, but obviously when you're playing a tempo team, it's a little bit more important to make sure we're on the same page as fast as we possibly can.
What's your perspective of how Kentucky played Ole Miss? Like, what did you see, whether you're watching it live or on tape? What did they do that was able to limit that offense?
Yep. Obviously, it wasn't just the defense. It was obviously a team effort, and how the game plan that Kentucky came up with was worked to almost perfection in regards of keeping Ole Miss off the field and on offense. They converted on third down on offense, obviously, and then obviously on defense, I thought they did a really good job of just playing aggressive, playing coverage, and make sure they just where they're supposed to be at. They did a really good job of the pass rush, and they tackled well. Those are the keys.
Hey, Clayton, when you see the receivers that Ole Miss has, just how important do you feel like the battle in coverage in the secondary is going to be in this game?
Yep, to me, coverage in front and all that stuff go hand in hand together. The quicker we get to the quarterback, the less they have to cover, and vice versa. The slower we get there, the longer they have to cover. That's every week in this league. I do think, we played – Kentucky had a nice trio of receivers, so does Ole Miss have a good quattro, maybe 4 or 5 really good players that can beat you short passes. They break tackles well, and they also can catch the long ball, and they do a great job of making you miss.
Going back to the tempo, of how do you simulate that throughout the week in practice?
It starts with our show team, our offense that's going to simulate it, and our offense itself can have gas plays itself, fast plays. So they do a good job of we work it every week for like 4 or 5 plays against each other. But obviously when we get like a 40-play rack on defense versus Ole Miss offense, and obviously that offense has to work it. We brought out this is like my 11th, my eighth year in this defense, 8th year coordinating, 11th year in this defense. And so we understand that you have to really work it at practice in order to get it. So, we're working it for sure.
When you turn on the tape for Ole Miss, you see Jackson Dart. Does he remind you of anybody? Is there a player you've played against you feel like it's maybe kind of similar to Jackson Dart just in terms of the skill set and the challenge?
He does have a nice skill set. I think they do a really good job of him using his mobility. Obviously, he's very mobile in the pocket, but I do think they have a very selective quarterback run game for him that makes him very difficult to defend. I think that his skill set is, you can similar say it's more of, if you want a big picture, for like a Josh Allen type of quarterback, a quarterback who can throw and run, can beat you with his feet, can throw for a lot of yards and touchdowns, and he definitely can beat you with his feet, just like Josh Allen.
In every game, I think, except for the Kentucky one, you guys have just given up just one deep touchdown. Is there a theme when you go back and watch those? Is there one thing you can pinpoint those to that can be corrected?
Yes. Obviously, them catching it and us not knocking it down is the one. Just being funny. I'm sorry, but I would say obviously, a couple of times. One time against ODU, it was a play that we didn't get to play in fast enough. I didn't get to play in fast enough, and we got confused. Kentucky had a nice 42-yard play on OD. To me, it's just coming down and getting those reps. Beginning of the year, we got to do a good job of really staying on top and playing the ball, and obviously, once again, the pressure and the coverage go hand in hand.
I talked to Shane yesterday about him kind of acknowledging his own mistakes, ones that he takes accountability for, which made me think of your saying, don't get mad twice. How have you seen coaches and sort of the program, as a whole buy into that, especially with a game like Ole Miss coming up where there might be some mistakes and you might have to kind of learn from them very quickly?
Yes, good question. I think us as coaches, we try our best to always think about the process, and we try to role play with ourselves. Meaning, put myself in a call. I'll watch tape. I'll put myself in this call. What was I doing here? Or we'll watch other teams that was in a 2-minute situation. What were they thinking? We'll watch an NFL game, and we get all the tape here. So it's more role play. I mean, that's more as putting yourself in that coaching position and trying to put the pressure on yourself to go through those calls. That's the best way. That's how I handle it, to try to go through those things and watch old tape and watch mistakes and keep learning. Learn something new every single day. Haven't learned nothing new yet today, but I will by the end of the day. That's really only way you can really become better and improve is just continue putting yourself in those situations. We only get 12 games a year, so you can't wait to go through it all the time. So you try to want to beat it to the punch. Really good question, though.
More of a general question, but it kind of relates to Ole Miss and Kentucky. When a team that has a big offense comes off of a lower scoring game, do you spend how much time do you spend thinking about what kind of adjustments that team is going to make to them being slowed down? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. A lot, actually. Obviously, Kentucky did a good job of slowing the game down. That's not what Ole Miss wants to do. So I'm anticipating things to be faster. So we're trying to play the little chess game, and how can we slow it down and ways that they can make it faster. So think about it a ton during the week of the process. Think about it a lot, actually. So always trying to find ways to make sure that we're ready. We can't be surprised by certain things and ready to adjust whenever we're out there on the field and in the press box and on the sideline and iPads and mics and everything. So make sure we're on point.
When taking on quarterbacks that can obviously run on the ground, like you were saying, but also throw in the air, how do you kind of get them out of their comfort zone and make things harder for them?
Yep. To me, it's making sure our guys understand the situation of the game, understand when a quarterback has a higher percentage to run or to use his feet, and make sure we understand our rush lanes. So it's about learning. It's educating our players first and foremost on just the game and the situations and where they like their quarterback, what type of quarterback he is, where does he scramble, does he step up, does he scramble to the left, does he scramble to the right. So our front 7 coaches kind of break that down. I kind of break down when and where they like to run the quarterback, certain formations. So it's all about educating and learning learning and teaching our players so they can kind of, adapt it on the field and also teach it back to us.
And Clayton, as a follow-up to John's question, watching the Kentucky game and kind of figuring out what Kentucky did, try to mimic it or plan what Ole Miss will do, would you almost prefer not to have to do that? Would you almost prefer that Ole Miss just ran its regular offense against Kentucky and okay, well, that's their plan for the year and there's been nothing tweaked?
I think it's hard to kind of change a ton of your offense. You can have some wrinkles here. You can have some wrinkles there. That's the same. At this point in the season, you can add some plays that you had in the past. You can bring you could come up with a couple new plays, but I think for the most part, teams want to be themselves. Teams want to focus on them and not the opponent. That's kind of our mindset. It's really about us. We got to go out here and do our job and make sure we understand what we're facing. Let's not be surprised by what we're facing. Make sure we know what we're going into. And I think just playing our game, being aggressive, and making sure that our guys are on the same page. And to me, most coaches in this league, it's about them and their players. It's not really about what the other person is doing. So I'm pretty sure they're focused on what they do best.
With Trey Harris, number 9 receiver for Ole Miss, it seems like he gets the ball a ton compared to the other receivers in that offense. Do you have to game plan differently for a guy like that gets a lot of volume in the offense, or do you try to keep it the same as with the other receivers?
It's kind of you have to do both a little bit. And obviously, we look at targets, we look at all those things to try to figure out, some quarterbacks' favorites, and obviously they have a nice group of receivers that can make plays. So you really can't, tilt your hand one way or the other. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So you don't want to get caught in that situation.
We haven't talked to you in 2 weeks, but the Akron game, it seemed like their entire plan was make sure we don't get sacked, and they were just getting the ball out as quick as possible. Do you think other teams will try and replicate that, or when that happened, were you like, this is great, like we know exactly where it's going?
Well, we was anticipating that, to be honest with you, and so we was ready for that part of it. And it is what it is. You watch the tape and you see our guys, how they rushing, and then it's football. It is what it is. But we were not surprised by that. That's what they wanted to do, and our guys had to make the adjustment. And so we was ready for it.
If Dart is Josh Allen, who's Juice Wells?
Come on, man. He's Juice Wells.
What kind of a player is he though? I mean, you obviously practice a lot against him in the past. So what?
Competitive player. He's a competitive football player. Really good receiver. Competitive. I'm good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yep.